The circuit decided that the best way to line manage would be for someone who wasn't closely involved with the individual to be the line manager. And you split it between the supervisor being the day-to-day running supervision, and then the line manager would be the person who would appraise the individual, who would keep in touch, who would deal with leave expenses, the legalities of the contract, and be backup to the supervisor. And that was decided that the best person for that to be would be the circuit steward. We have a management group for this individual because the church is involved. Again, they are investing, they're contributing to the post, and I think it's important that they should see how it's working. So we actually have set up a management group with representatives from each of the churches, chaired by the minister and attended by me as the line manager. And we have a regular report from the lay employee on how he's been doing. It's about every 2 months, and we sit around the table, we discuss the highlights, the low points, what could be done, and so that management group really works. And on top of that, we've given the person a pastoral mentor, and that person can be accessible at any time within complete bounds of confidentiality for the lay employee to be able to offload onto. We asked the lay employee who he'd like. Right. So we waited a little while they settled in, and then we said, who are you getting on with within the church? Who would you feel comfortable with? We use the Methodist Church's appraisal form. I find that's very useful. It's used during their first 6 months. The end of their 6 months, they have a probationary interview where we ask them to complete the form, telling us how they feel they've done, whether they feel comfortable, and then the line manager interviews them. And then for each year, you have the annual appraisal, and again, we use the same form. And that documentation is very good. We obviously have other areas of documentation, like the timesheets. That's very useful. We set up an Excel document, and the individual can manage their time and show, especially the management group, how they're using their time. Well, the best way we found out what our impact was by the reaction of the schools. And we've actually found that the children going to the lunch club are increasing in number. And Dan, our lay worker, is actually almost overwhelmed with the success of the lunch clubs. He also has been invited to take assemblies and to take RE lessons and to do chaplaincy work as well. And this is just as a result of our going into the schools in the first place and offering just social interaction with the children, and it's developed into something a lot more structured. As I just said, Dan, our lay employee, is overwhelmed by his success to the extent that one of the schools, he just didn't have time to go in. The church that was involved, they really wanted this school to become engaged like the other schools, but he just didn't have time because he was so committed in other areas. So what we did, we went back to circuit and we said, what we think we need to do, we need to split Dan's role up, and we need to stop his activity in that particular school, and we got permission from the circuit to fund for another post in that particular school for that particular church. So we've learnt, I think, that we mustn't do too much, we mustn't expect too much, and if we do find we're very successful, then we adjust and we go off in a different direction.